God. Hi, Anne.
I love that.
David.
That's so great.
It's like you're at intermission.
All in our lives today.
All an intermission.
That is incredible.
So, Anne, I don't think you've met Brett, but Brett is one of our viola players in the orchestra, and he's a fantastic composer. He's writing a piece. He's just about finished a piece for our principal horn, Jim Thatcher, and strings and two harps. And if we come back in the season, we'll be doing it with this coming season.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, Anne. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You know, I was playing when you did Adam Schoenberg's concerto, which was so fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to meet you.
That was a real highlight for everybody. The audience, I think, was just taken aback by the storytelling aspect of it and the sincerity with which you project it. But also, I think the unusualness of the structure really, it sort of shocked people. And at the end, everybody, as you remember, everybody was silent.
It's captivating.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful, poetic piece. And every time I perform it, it's a little sad because it seems like, you know, somebody very dear has just passed. And, you know, every time I play it, like, it's just, it's almost emotionally so too much because, you know, you're just remembering the person and their soul and their being and missing them so much.
That's sad and meaningful, but it's also rather wonderful that a contemporary concerto that you've championed, you commissioned, has been played so much now. That doesn't happen for many composers and performers. So what have you been doing? What have you been doing with yourself? How is it to be just at home?
Growing my hair out.
That's all of us.
Working on a new hairstyle. Well, I'm scheduled to perform a world premiere of a new violin concerto by Arturo Marquez.
Oh.
And I was, you know, harassing him for quite a bit of time. And he finally agreed to write this new concerto called Fandango. So he sent me the first movement a couple weeks ago, and just yesterday sent me the second movement. So that's been occupying a lot of my time. I also was very fortunate to get kind of a preview of a new concerto by Michael Dougherty about the iconic female pilot, Amelia Earhart. And, you know, he's so organized. And I mean, we're not supposed to premiere this for another year, but he already had the score. And I was just so thankful because, you know, the whole month of March, I was just stuck in the house, and I was like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with myself? I was like, Amelia Earhart, Michael Dougherty has saved my life, so I'm very thankful.
Well, that sounds like two very big projects.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about your new release, the Arvo Parrot Estonian Lullaby?
So I have been a big super fan of Arvo Parrot. I don't know anyone else who is not a super fan of Vincent. Yeah, so I've performed a lot of his music my whole life. And it started with the Tabula Rasa back in the 90s.
That's my favorite.
Incredible. The prepared piano and just the ethereal quality to it. And I was invited to record most of his music with him present in Leipzig back 5 years ago in 2015 with the MDR Orchestra, Christian Jarvi conducting. And it was there that I performed Fratricide and Darf ich and Passacaglia, which is, as you know, David.
Yes.
A very wicked piece. So, yeah, we recorded Passacaglia together, David and I. You know, it was just such an extraordinary experience to actually perform these pieces in front of Arvo. And to get the feedback, you know, of the opening of Fratricide, that cadenza that it starts with, and, you know, this impossible tempo marking that's there of like impossible. And, you know, I'm trying my darndest, my best to keep up to that fast hyper tempo, and in front of the whole orchestra and the conductor and everybody, you know, after like almost getting tendonitis, Arvo was like, Anne Akiko, what are you doing? Why do you play it so fast?
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, what? You wrote it. What are you talking about?
Oh.
God damn it.
Oh.
And, you know, it was just incredible, though. It's the most valuable lesson. And he was like, it doesn't matter what I wrote. You know, you should play it comfortably, and it should feel and sound comfortable. But it was after that that it opened this beautiful new center in Laulasma, Estonia, and invited me to perform the opening concerts. So there were 3 concerts that one day where I played Fratricide, Darf ich, and you know, everybody was Estonian except for myself. I was a little lost there. And then I gave a full recital the following day, and Akira Eguchi flew in from Tokyo just for that recital, and was in Estonia for, you know, less than 24 hours. And at that recital, I performed a beautiful piece by John Corigliano called The Lullaby for Natalie. And he wrote that for my firstborn daughter, who's about to turn 10 years old. And at that concert, you know, Arvo was so enchanted with that lullaby. I'm giving you the long version of my association with Arvo. Let's see if you can follow all the steps, all the crumbs here. But he was so enchanted with this piece, and I think it planted a seed. And, you know, before Christmas last year, I received a giant envelope from Estonia, and I thought, what could that possibly be? You know, that is some Christmas card. And, you know, I was just, okay, I open it, and I actually have it here. Oh, you can't see it. Oop.
This is the art of disappearing.
Wow.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Ah, look at that. That's oh.
Wow.
Nobody has seen this before. So this is
Vanishing
No, I like
manuscript.
Harry Potter. Harry
look
Potter.
at that. I love it. This is fantastic.
Oh,
But now we know who's on stage at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, we can see.
I was wondering who that could possibly be. So it was the lullaby, right?
There's the lullaby.
The lullaby, which is one of the most exquisite pieces I've heard.
And the animation was so special.
And that's you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
The artist is so extraordinary. I just, as soon as I got the music, you know, I thought, whatever video we make, I don't want to be in it. I'm tired of being in my own videos.
You've done that.
It
yes.
needs to be, yes, it needs to be animated. And, you know, watercolor would be the most beautiful poetic medium to work with. But there are very few artists who are, you know, who know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so I was just really kind of going through the internet. It's my rich treasure pot, and discovered Matt Vais, who's based out of Portland, Oregon. And as soon as I told him the project that I had in my mind, his first video that I came across was he used the drunk movement from Vivaldi Four Seasons. So I thought, you know, this guy, he totally knows what he's doing. This is like a major score. Yeah, it was just so beautiful. The amount of work that goes into the video that he made it's really extraordinary.
Well, let's watch it.
Okay.
So I wonder if we should talk a little bit about living composers, because you seem to love working with living composers.
I love them. David, Brett. You guys amaze me. You really, I just have, I'm in awe of composers. I really, truly am. I can't understand how one person can understand so many colors, so many voices, put them together like a giant jigsaw puzzle and create a beautiful story. You know, that is just, it's so unbelievable to me, because I could never do that myself. Never.
But you bring it to life. You bring it to life.
But you reverse engineer that process when you learn a piece and you're able to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's what's so beautiful and incredible about music is that it's so different for every single person. You know, when you hear somebody interpreting, let's say, the Barber Violin Concerto, everybody has a different take on it. Every single performer. Right. You never say, wow, that performer sounded exactly like that performer. Ever. And that's what's so, you know, just profound.
And that's a sign of great art, that it can hold everyone's interpretation.
Yes.
That's right. That was the first piece I heard you play. That was the first piece I heard you play with the Baltimore Symphony.
Yeah, I love the Barber.
And in weren't we in Tokyo? Didn't you play it there?
Yeah, we went to Tokyo. I think I almost fell asleep on stage, like during the tourney. So jet lagged out of my brains.
Well, there was one performance I was meant to be covering, and I think we arrived. It was in Korea with the Baltimore Symphony. I fell asleep and I woke up after the performance in my room, and I called the general manager and I said, "Please don't send me home. This is the worst thing that's ever happened." He sort of chuckled and said, "Nobody missed you. It's okay."
I think I'm gonna cry hearing that story now.
Oh, it was terrifying.
That's horrible.
And I had my daughter with me too, and we both just crashed for hours.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, you're just flipped inside out when you go to Asia.
Well, you do that a lot, don't you? You're traveling around the world. But how many weeks a year? Are you away for 2/3 of a year or more?
No, not more than that. I compress it as much as I can. And, you know, having 2 little bambinos at home, it's go the latest you possibly can and come back the earliest you possibly can. So it's just really, really super.
How often are they able to travel with you?
And, I mean, with school, and it just seems very selfish too, you know, like my schedule demands that I am, you know, and just to be dragging them around for all of that is just not, I don't think it's very healthy.
I'd love to hear about the project between the two of you.
The Vivaldi Four Seasons, that little project.
It was so funny because Anne said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm finally doing this." So, I mean, you played it so inspirationally, and then afterwards you said, "Oh God, I'm so glad that's out of the way." And I didn't quite know what you meant by that. I mean, you've been playing the seasons probably for decades, haven't you?
Not really.
No,
I mean,
not so many.
Maybe 1 decade.
Okay, 1 decade.
Yeah, I mean, not even that long, actually.
Oh, that's surprising to me. Well, it was a thrill for me. Whether it was for you, I don't know, but I had a great time. It was so much fun because, you know, it was with the English Chamber Orchestra, which basically meant I didn't have to do very much. You know, they know the piece a million times around.
David, this is what I love about you. Your incredible modesty.
Exactly.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's so difficult to make a recording. And you have to manage the time so efficiently. And, you know, everyone is getting tendonitis. Everyone is tired. And then to do the take over and over and over and make it sound alive and fresh and crackling with energy, you know, it takes all of your willpower to make it happen, and to do that in 2 days time. You know, the Four Seasons, plus we did the triple concerto, and we did Arvo Pärt's Passacaglia in 2 days.
Is that all?
But David says he barely did anything.
So I'm so happy it was so easy for you.
It was great. It seemed
I'll
to me
be booking you for every other recording that I'll be doing.
Well, I tell you where it did help to do the parts before we left. Because you sent me your parts and your solo parts, so we could unify everything for the orchestra So there wasn't any wasted time in the sessions. It really was just a question of making sure it was all together and had the right kind of energy.
But you know, that recording helped make me the Billboard instrumentalist of that year with the most recordings.
Incredible.
The top selling instrumentalist of 2014 was because of that recording.
Wow, that's
so it's really all that effort that was put into that recording was worth it.
It was a lot of fun. And while I was doing the parts, I remember I went for a walk on Staten Island. I'd run around Central Park, walked around Staten Island, twisted my ankle. The next day tried to run around Central Park and came to a crunching halt, limped, dragged my way back over to my apartment. And at the same time, we bought Brompton bikes as well, which was very exciting, which everybody rides in London. So I came to, and you said you didn't notice this, but I came to England completely limping and in pain. And it was the strangest experience for me because I was actually pretty uncomfortable a lot of the time.
Wow.
And I think the music, that's another one of those things that music really helps you get through these difficult times.
That's amazing, though. But you're standing the whole time, too. I don't know how you did it.
He's a trooper.
Okay, wow.
So this recording session was actually all about me. I just want to make that clear. You wanted to hear it, Brett. You got it.
I knew I'd get the truth.
You're amazing, David.
Yeah. Okay. So we're meant to be interviewing you, so I'll stop.
This is way more fun.
So, well, here's a question. How much do you play standard repertoire anymore? Or is that really what you do mostly?
It really depends sort of on, the invitation. Like just recently, I performed a lot of the Mendelssohn concerto many times in a row. And, like that concerto, I never tire performing. Also the Barber, but, can you call that standard repertoire? I'm not quite sure. I tend to gravitate towards music like Prokofiev, Barber, but I yet love Vivaldi, love the Bach concertos, and so I just like to pepper it with everything.
And I love your recording of the Shimonoffski concerto.
Thank you so much.
Can you talk a little bit about that piece? It's such a special composer and piece.
He was, and just so undervalued.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah. It's so passionate, and it's really like you almost imagine a nymph, walking through, floating through a forest or something, in that concerto, and all the experiences that one goes through. There's just such riotous color. He's like, you just see like paint colors, like and bright, but also subtle, so subtle. And there's a lot of whimsy in there too. And
do you play the myths, the three pieces?
I've learned the myths, but I've never played them in public.
Because they're like that.
Yeah, really difficult to pull off. But just so extraordinarily beautiful, haunting.
Tell us about the premiere that you've got with the LA Phil and what the plans are going to be for the future of it.
Really hoping to premiere this beautiful new concerto by Arturo Martez, Fandango. And, I recently met with him and he gave me an overview of the concerto, and he really loves this very energetic, kind of propulsive, forward-moving, very accented dance music. And he was asking me, what violin music has the most dance qualities to it? And I was thinking about it, and I thought, okay, you could go with Bach, but that's kind of more stately. Lalo, Tsigan, but like a real just dance concerto, I can't really think of that. Can you?
No, but I do know that Michael Torkey just recently wrote a piece for April. But I don't know of another piece like you're describing.
Yeah. And so Arturo, it turns out, is an avid dancer himself.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's a lot of those really Latin flavors, juicy flavors in there that are super fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be so great. And do you find it easy to memorize these big pieces?
No, absolutely not. No. I don't even try.
You don't?
No, I don't ask that of myself because I've worked with so many composers who make so many last second revisions, and it's almost like they use the performance as another version of, it improving in their minds. And so there comes a point when you're just like, I can't learn another version of this anymore. It's like 27 lives. It's like I've spent I've spent my lives. They're gone. So I just tend to always use the music to make sure that everything is in place.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you not only for your beautiful playing and coming to play with us in Pasadena on a pretty regular basis, but also want to thank you for being a donor to the symphony, which is quite unusual. And when you came back to the LA area, it seemed that you really wanted to sort of invest in institutions that you value and that mean something to you. And we're very grateful that we do mean something to you to the extent that you are desirous to give to us.
No, we're so thankful to you and grateful for all that you do and to help the community. And, it gives such comfort to all of us to know that, we're working on this as a collective whole. Like just makes life better. You guys make life better. And so any kind of support is, that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you so much, Anne.
And you've just been great to spend this time with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's so fun.
Now get back to your concert back there. Probably waiting for you.
Go back to the second movement of the Motto.
Oh my gosh. All
right, Anne. Thanks.
Stay safe. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.